Picture this: a quiet shoreline in Japan. The year is 1612. The early morning sun hangs low, casting a golden shimmer over calm waves. The air is crisp with the scent of the sea. A lone figure walks slowly across the sand, barefoot, leaving deep prints with every step. He carries something that looks like a sword, but it's not made of steel. It's a rough wooden blade, carved in haste. Several yards away, another man waits. His posture is upright and tense. His silk kimono flutters in the breeze. In his hands, a gleaming katana catches the morning light like a flash of lightning. This is Sasaki Kajiro, famed for his deadly speed and precision. The first Mun, the one with the wooden sword, is Miyamoto Musashi. This moment would become one of the most famous duels in samurai history. But here's the part most people miss. The fight was already decided before it began. Musashi wasn't relying solely on strength or swordsmanship. He was using something far more powerful: strategy, psychology, and emotional control. And that's exactly what this story is about. Miyamoto Musashi wasn't just a warrior. He was an artist, a philosopher, and a master strategist. Over the course of his life, he fought more than 60 duels and never lost. He lived as a ronin, a masterless samurai, traveling across Japan, not only to sharpen his combat skills, but to deepen his understanding of human nature and life itself. But why is Musashi still studied, quoted, and respected more than 400 years later? The answer is simple: because his lessons don't just apply to the battlefield. They're tools for overcoming any challenge in any era. Today, our battles aren't fought with swords. They're fought in business negotiations, job interviews, competitive markets, and even in the quiet struggles we face inside our own minds. And if we're honest, most people walk into these battles without a real plan, reacting on impulse, letting emotions take control. The result: they lose fights they could have won, often without even realizing they were in a fight. That's where Musashi comes in. In his famous work, Go-Rin no Sho, the Book of Five Rings, he laid out a philosophy of combat and life. What's fascinating is that these principles are just as relevant now as they were in feudal Japan. And this isn't just romanticizing history. Modern research backs it up. An article in the Harvard Business Review found that invisible preparation, the groundwork done before any public move, is one of the most decisive factors in leadership and negotiation success. Another study from the American Psychological Association shows that mental preparation can reduce mistakes under pressure by up to 60%. In other words, science confirms what Musashi knew by instinct. Those who prepare in the shadows win under the spotlight. Musashi understood that victory begins long before the fight, and that's what this video is built on. The 6 tricks he used to win, and how you can use them today without ever drawing a sword. Before we dive into those tricks, ask yourself this: how many of the battles you've lost in the past months could have turned out differently if you'd approached them with more strategy? The answer might change the way you see every challenge ahead of you. And if you're here because you want more than just stories, if you want practical tools to face the world with more clarity and confidence, know that this channel was made for that. Producing content like this takes time, research, and dedication. So if you enjoy what you're hearing and want to support us in bringing more videos that blend history, philosophy, and practical lessons, consider becoming a channel member. It's a direct way to keep this work alive and to join a community that's growing and learning together. Now take a deep breath and get ready, because in the next chapter, we'll explore Musashi's 6 tricks, starting with the most surprising of them all, the ability to see beyond appearances. In the last chapter, we left off with a promise to reveal how Musashi managed to defeat formidable opponents without relying solely on his sword. Here, we'll fulfill that promise. These are the 6 tricks he mastered and that you can apply today to win your battles long before they begin. 1. See beyond appearances. Musashi never trusted what he saw at first glance. He knew appearances could be deceiving and that the surface of any situation rarely revealed the whole truth. In his duels, he studied opponents not just by their stance or weapons, but by subtle details, the rhythm of their breathing, the tension in their shoulders, the dart of their eyes. These tiny clues told him far more than any flashy display of skill. In today's world, this skill is about looking deeper before you act. A business deal that looks perfect on paper may hide clauses that change everything. A colleague's friendly suggestion could mask a hidden agenda. Science backs this up. Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman's research on cognitive biases shows that humans naturally rely on System 1 thinking fast, intuitive judgments that are efficient but prone to error. Musashi trained his system to deliberate observation, critical thinking, and patience before making a move, to create advantage before the confrontation in his famous duel with Sasaki. Musashi arrived late on purpose. It wasn't disrespect, it was strategy. The delay irritated Kojiro, making him impatient and emotionally unbalanced. When the fight began, Musashi was calm, while his opponent's judgment was clouded by frustration. Today, creating advantage before a confrontation means preparing so thoroughly that the other side is already at a disadvantage when you meet. In negotiations, it's knowing the other party's needs better than they do. In a job interview, it's having a deep understanding of the company's current challenges. The University of Chicago found that individuals who enter situations mentally prepared increase their chances of success by up to 47%. Musashi knew this centuries ago. He just called it readiness. 3. Keep a calm mind in chaos. Musashi sometimes fought multiple opponents at once. Instead of panicking, he maintained an almost unsettling calm. He understood that panic made people sloppy, and he refused to give his opponents that advantage. In modern life, chaos might mean a crisis at work, an unexpected financial hit, or a family emergency. The ability to slow yourself down internally while the world speeds up around you separates problem solvers from problem makers. Harvard Medical School studies show that simple deep breathing techniques can lower cortisol levels, the stress hormone, in just minutes. Musashi didn't have medical research, but he knew that a steady mind outperforms a frantic one every time. 4. Use the unexpected. One of the most famous moments in Musashi's life was when he faced Kojiro not with a steel sword, but with a wooden one he carved from an oar during the trip to the fight. This move completely broke Kojiro's expectations. A lifetime of training against metal blades left him mentally unprepared for this. dot in today's terms. This is innovation. It's breaking patterns, forcing your opponent or competitor to think on the spot. In the marketplace, companies that innovate at this level often unseat industry giants. The World Economic Forum consistently ranks creativity among the top 3 skills needed for success in the 21st century. Musashi would have understood, after all. He painted, wrote poetry, and designed strategy with the same creativity he brought to combat. 5. Exploit the opponent's mistake. Musashi knew he didn't always have to create an opening. Sometimes he just had to wait for the other side to create it themselves. He would use shifts in rhythm, feints, or psychological provocation to lure an opponent into error. Today, this philosophy applies in everything from sports to legal disputes to business competition. Observing carefully and striking when the other side slips is far more effective than rushing in blindly. Research from McKinsey & Company shows that businesses exploiting gaps left by competitors grow up to 3 times faster than those that simply follow industry norms. 6. Train until it becomes instinct. Musashi practiced so relentlessly that his movements became reflex. This didn't mean acting without thinking. It meant freeing his mind to focus on strategy because the fundamentals were automatic. He called this walking the path without thinking about the path. In modern life, this could be public speaking, coding, leading meetings, playing an instrument, or managing a project. The more your core skills are drilled into muscle memory, the more mental space you have for creativity and adaptation under pressure. The 10,000 hour rule, popularized by Malcolm Gladwell from Anders Ericsson's research at Florida State University, points to the same truth. Mastery is built on deliberate, consistent practice. These 6 tricks aren't magic formulas. They require patience, discipline, and self-awareness. But Musashi proved that, applied consistently, they can make anyone stand out. Not through brute force, but through strategic intelligence. And in the next chapter, we'll explore perhaps the deepest lesson Musashi ever left us. That the highest form of victory isn't defeating another person. It's mastering the art of winning without fighting at all. At the end of the last chapter, we hinted at what might be Musashi's most profound lesson. That the greatest victory isn't defeating someone else. It's mastering the art of winning without fighting at all. But what does that truly mean? To understand it, we need to step back into the Japan of the early 17th century. This was an era of shifting alliances, political instability, and frequent conflict. A samurai's reputation, livelihood, and sometimes his life depended on his ability to fight and win. And yet, Musashi, arguably one of the most dangerous swordsmen in history, spent much of his life avoiding unnecessary duels. This wasn't fear. It wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. He understood that every fight carried unpredictable risks, and that the best victory was one achieved before the blade ever left its sheath. This strategic mindset wasn't unique to Musashi. It echoes the teachings of another legendary strategist, Sun Tzu, who wrote In the Art of War. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. For Musashi, winning without fighting involved 3 essential elements: deep understanding of your opponent, complete control over yourself, the ability to shape the environment in your favor. Interestingly, modern science supports this approach. Studies from Stanford University on psychological victory show that in high-stakes competitions, the mental state of participants can drastically alter outcomes. Those who enter with confidence and clarity often influence the opponent before the contest even begins. Similarly, research from Gallup found that individuals with high mental resilience are 23% more likely to achieve their goals. They know when to act, and, just as importantly, when not to act. But here's the crucial point. Winning without fighting isn't just about the other person. It's about you. It's about overcoming anxiety, insecurity, and the impulse to react without thinking. It's about preparing so thoroughly, understanding the context so well, and knowing yourself so deeply that by the time you face the challenge, you're already in a position of strength. Musashi lived as a wanderer, slept under open skies, trained alone, and wrote about the impermanence of life. His tricks weren't shortcuts. They were the result of constant self-development. He knew that the real battle was internal, against ego, laziness, and distraction. And perhaps this is the most valuable lesson he left us. The victory that truly matters is the one you win within yourself. Because once you master yourself, the external world stops being a constant threat and becomes a field of opportunities. Applying this to daily, life is simpler than it seems. Before entering an argument, ask yourself if it truly needs to happen. Before reacting to a problem, consider if the solution might be in changing your perspective. Before facing a challenge, create conditions that make resolution natural and inevitable. This isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about choosing your battles wisely. In the previous chapter, we talked about technique and strategy. Here, we're talking about purpose and wisdom. Musashi didn't aim to be just the best swordsman. He aimed to be a complete human, being clear in mind and free to walk his own path. And maybe this is the question he would ask you today. Are you fighting because you must, or because your ego demands it? When we answer honestly, we often realize that many of the battles we fight don't lead us anywhere worth going. By letting them go, we free ourselves to focus on the ones that truly matter. So take from this, not just the story of a legendary samurai, but a map for navigating the chaos of the modern world. Train your mind, prepare before the confrontation, see beyond appearances, stay calm in chaos. Use the unexpected, exploit the opponent's mistakes, and above all, learn to win without fighting. Because, as Musashi showed us over 400 years ago, the greatest victory is not in defeating an enemy, but in conquering yourself.